When someone hurts you, the first thing that rises is heat. It rushes to the chest, climbs the throat, tightens the jaw, and asks to be released as sharp words or sudden silence. Hurt wants an audience. Pain wants permission to shout. But calm is a different kind of strength. Calm does not arrive by accident, and it does not belong to the weak. Calm is chosen. Calm is practiced. Calm is the quiet decision to keep your dignity intact when someone else has forgotten theirs. You will be hurt in this life, not because you deserve it, but because you are alive, because you love, because you open your heart and walk into rooms with your truth visible. People will misunderstand you. Some will wound you out of their own fear, some out of jealousy, some out of ignorance, and some simply because they have not learned how to be gentle with another human being. Hurt will come in many voices. It may come softly disguised as a joke. It may come loudly dressed as anger. It may come from strangers, or it may come from the mouths of those you trusted to protect you. You cannot always control who hurts you, but you can decide who you become in response. Responding calmly does not mean pretending the pain is not there. It does not mean swallowing your feelings or telling yourself that you are above being affected. Calm is not denial. Calm is awareness. Calm says, I see what just happened, and I will not let it turn me into someone I do not recognize. Calm allows the hurt to exist without allowing it to rule. It is the space between what is done to you and what you do next. In that space you breathe. You breathe not because it fixes everything, but because breath reminds you that you are still here, still whole, still capable of choosing your next step. Breath slows the moment down so you do not hand your power to the person who tried to take it. When you pause, you reclaim yourself. You remember that you are more than a reaction. You are more than an echo of someone else's behavior. There is a deep freedom in refusing to match cruelty with cruelty. The world often teaches that the loudest voice wins, that the sharpest tongue proves strength, that retaliation is justice. But there is a quieter truth, one that has carried generations through storms. Strength is not proven by how hard you can strike back, but by how firmly you can stand without striking at all. Strength is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to engage and when to walk away, when to explain yourself and when to let your life be the explanation. When someone hurts you, your calm response begins with listening inward before speaking outward. Ask yourself what you are feeling beneath the first layer of anger. Is it disappointment, betrayal, sadness, fear, or the old ache of being unseen? Often anger is only the guard at the door, protecting something more tender behind it. When you acknowledge that tenderness, you stop fighting yourself. You give your pain a name, and in naming it, you soften its grip. Calm does not require that you excuse harmful behavior. Understanding is not the same as acceptance. You can understand that someone is hurting and still refuse to be their target. You can see another person's wounds without allowing them to bleed all over your life. Calm gives you clarity. It helps you draw boundaries without building walls. It allows you to say no without hatred and yes without fear. Sometimes the calmest response is a simple one. It is a measured sentence spoken without insult or apology. It is saying that was hurtful and I will not accept it. It is stating your truth without decoration, without attack, without begging to be understood. You do not need to convince someone of your worth. Your worth is not a debate. Calm reminds you that you are not on trial. Other times, the calmest response is silence. Silence is not surrender. Silence is not weakness. Silence can be a sanctuary where you gather your strength. It can be a statement that says, I will not engage in what diminishes me. Silence can protect your energy when words would only feed the fire. There are moments when explaining yourself to someone who has already decided not to listen is a form of self-betrayal. Calm teaches you to recognize those moments and step back with grace. You may feel pressure to respond immediately, to defend yourself quickly, to prove that you were right and they were wrong. But urgency is often a trick of the ego. Calm asks you to slow down. What is meant for you will not pass you by because you took a moment to breathe. What is true will remain true, even if you do not shout it from the rooftops. Time has a way of revealing what noise tries to hide. Responding calmly also means being honest with yourself about what you need. Sometimes you need distance. Sometimes you need rest. Sometimes you need to talk to someone who can hold your story without judgment. Calm does not isolate you. It connects you to healthier ways of coping. It reminds you that you are allowed to seek support, that strength does not require you to carry everything alone. When hurt comes from someone close to you, calm can feel especially difficult. Familiar voices know where the soft places are. Words from loved ones can cut deeper because they reach parts of you that strangers cannot touch. In these moments, calm becomes an act of self-respect. It means you refuse to let love become a reason for losing yourself. You can care deeply and still speak firmly. You can love and still protect your peace. There will be days when you fail at calm. You will snap, you will cry. You will say things you wish you had held back. This does not make you weak, it makes you human. Calm is not perfection. It is a practice you return to again and again. Each time you choose it, even imperfectly, you strengthen it. Each time you reflect and learn, you grow. Responding calmly does not guarantee that the other person will change. It does not ensure an apology or understanding. Calm is not a strategy to control others. It is a commitment to yourself. It says, I will not allow someone else's actions to determine my character. I will not give my peace away as payment for their behavior. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you respond calmly. It settles into your posture, your voice, your presence. You begin to trust yourself more. You realize that you can face discomfort without falling apart. You learn that you are capable of holding your ground without hardening your heart. This confidence does not shout. It hums steadily beneath everything you do. Calm also creates room for compassion, but not the kind that erases accountability. Compassion says, I see your humanity, even when your actions have hurt me. It allows you to release the heavy burden of resentment when you are ready, not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Letting go is not forgetting. It is choosing not to let the past control your present. When you respond calmly, you change the pattern. You interrupt the cycle of harm that moves from one person to another, one generation to the next. You become a different example. You show that it is possible to be strong without being cruel, honest without being harsh, firm without being violent in word or deed. This is how healing spreads quietly from one brave choice to another. Your calm response teaches you to listen to your intuition. That inner voice often speaks softly, and it is easily drowned out by anger and fear. When you slow down, you hear it more clearly. It guides you toward what feels right rather than what feels reactive. It helps you recognize when to stay and when to leave, when to speak and when to let silence speak for you. You are not responsible for the hurt someone else carries, but you are responsible for how you carry yourself. Calm keeps your spirit clean. It allows you to move forward without dragging bitterness behind you. It helps you sleep at night knowing that you acted with integrity, even when it was difficult. There is a sacredness in choosing calm. It honors your past struggles and your future hopes. It says that you have learned enough to know that peace is precious and fragile and worth protecting. It acknowledges that your energy is limited and valuable, and you will spend it wisely. When someone hurts you, remember that you have options beyond reaction. You can choose to pause. You can choose to breathe. You can choose to speak with intention or to remain silent with purpose. You can choose to walk away without hatred and to stand your ground without violence. These choices shape the story you tell yourself about who you are. Over time, calm becomes less of an effort and more of a way of being. You begin to trust that you can handle what comes without losing yourself. You stop fearing conflict because you know you can meet it with clarity. You stop fearing hurt because you know it does not have the power to define you. The world may never stop offering moments of pain, but you can stop offering yourself as a battlefield. You can become a place of refuge, first for yourself, and then for others who learn by watching you. Your calm response becomes a quiet declaration that you are committed to living with grace, even when grace is tested. And in choosing calm again and again, you discover something profound. You are not powerless in the face of hurt. You are not at the mercy of someone else's words or actions. You are a conscious participant in your own life, capable of responding rather than reacting, capable of holding pain without becoming it, capable of moving forward with your head high and your heart intact. Peace is more valuable than being right, because being right often feeds the ego, while peace feeds the soul. Being right wants recognition, applause, and confirmation that your version of the story stands taller than someone else's. Peace wants none of that. Peace wants quiet mornings, steady breath, and a heart that is not carrying unnecessary weight. Many people confuse winning an argument with winning in life, yet they walk away from their victories exhausted, restless, and alone with their thoughts still racing. Peace does not ask you to prove anything. It asks you to preserve yourself. There are moments when you know you are right. The facts are on your side, your intentions were pure, and your words were misunderstood. In those moments, the desire to explain yourself can feel overwhelming. You want to correct the record, to set things straight, to make sure no one leaves with the wrong idea of who you are. But peace quietly asks a different question. It asks what it will cost you to keep pushing. It asks how much of your energy you are willing to trade for temporary validation. It asks whether clarity is truly possible when emotions are already loud. Choosing peace does not mean you are admitting fault. It does not mean you are surrendering truth or allowing lies to win. It means you understand that not every battle deserves your presence. Some conversations are not bridges but traps, designed to pull you into cycles of defense and explanation that never end. Peace recognizes those traps and steps around them without announcing its exit. Being right often requires you to stay engaged long after your spirit has grown tired. It keeps you replaying conversations in your mind, rehearsing better responses, sharper comebacks, clearer explanations. Peace invites you to release that loop. It allows your mind to rest instead of rehearse. It gives you permission to let the other person keep their version of events, even if it feels unfair, even if it feels incomplete. There is a deep maturity in realizing that understanding cannot be forced. You cannot make someone see what they are unwilling to see. You cannot argue someone into empathy or demand awareness from someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. Peace understands this reality without bitterness. It accepts limits without resentment. It says that your worth is not dependent on someone else's comprehension. Many people hold on to being right because they fear what letting go might mean. They fear that silence will look like weakness, that walking away will be seen as defeat. But peace has a different definition of strength. Strength is not measured by how long you can argue, but by how well you can let go. Strength is knowing when enough has been said, when your truth has already been spoken, even if it was not received. Peace values emotional safety over intellectual victory. It values rest over recognition. It values your nervous system, your sleep, your inner balance. When you choose peace, you choose to protect these things. You decide that no argument is worth your health, no disagreement worth your sanity. You understand that stress lingers in the body long after words fade, and you choose not to invite it unnecessarily. There are relationships where being right becomes a habit, a pattern of constant correction and defense. Over time, this erodes connection. Peace shifts the focus from proving to understanding, from correcting to listening. And sometimes peace reveals that understanding is not possible in that space. And that too is information. Peace does not cling to relationships that demand constant justification of your existence. Choosing peace also requires humility. It requires admitting that even when you are right, the way you communicate may not always be helpful. It asks you to consider impact as much as intention. Peace encourages gentleness, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve to live without inner conflict. There is a quiet freedom in no longer needing the last word. The last word often keeps the door open to more conflict. Peace closes the door softly and walks away without slamming it. It does not announce its superiority. It does not seek witnesses. It simply leaves. Peace teaches you to trust time. Time has a way of revealing truth without your assistance. What is real settles. What is false unravels. You do not have to chase justice in every moment. Sometimes justice arrives as distance, as clarity, as the slow understanding that you did not lose anything by letting go. Being right can isolate you if it becomes more important than connection. Peace, even when it creates distance, does so with grace. It allows separation without hatred. It allows endings without cruelty. It allows you to move forward without carrying the sharp edges of old conversations. When you choose peace, you stop negotiating your well-being for temporary satisfaction. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop attending arguments that require you to shrink, harden, or abandon your values. Peace aligns you with who you want to be, not who the moment tries to turn you into. There will be times when standing up for yourself is necessary, when silence would feel like self-betrayal. Peace is not passive. Peace can speak firmly and clearly. The difference is that peace speaks once with intention, and then releases the outcome. It does not linger to wrestle with resistance. It does not beg for agreement. Peace understands that you do not need to be right to be whole. Your wholeness exists independently of validation. It is not granted by winning debates or correcting perceptions. It is something you carry within you, something that remains intact even when others disagree. As you begin to value peace more than being right, your life grows quieter in the best way. Your reactions slow. Your choices become more intentional. You notice how much energy you once spent trying to control narratives, and how light you feel without that burden. You realize that peace was never about silence alone, but about alignment with yourself, about honoring your limits, about choosing calm over chaos again and again, about understanding that some truths do not need defending because they continue to exist even when unspoken, living steadily within you as you move forward, breathing easier, thinking clearer, carrying less, allowing life to unfold without the constant need to prove, explain, or correct, trusting that peace will keep teaching you what matters as long as you keep choosing it. Respond with clarity, not emotion, because emotion speaks fast while clarity speaks true. Emotion rises like a wave, powerful and convincing, but often temporary and distorted by the heat of the moment. Clarity moves more slowly. It listens before it speaks. It separates what happened from how it felt, and in that separation, it protects your truth from being tangled in impulse. When someone hurts you, emotion is the first language that wants to be spoken. Anger sharpens the tongue. Pain tightens the chest. Fear rushes the mind into imagining outcomes that may never arrive. Emotion demands immediate release. It wants to be expressed right now at full volume, without filters. But clarity asks for a pause. It asks you to step back just enough to understand what you are actually responding to, not what your emotions are trying to defend. Clarity begins with naming reality. What was said, what was done, what crossed a line, Not what you assumed, not what you feared, not what past wounds added to the moment. Emotion blends the present with memory. It brings old hurts into new conversations. Clarity keeps the moment clean. It stays with the facts, even when the facts are uncomfortable. Responding with clarity does not mean suppressing emotion. It means organizing it. It means letting emotion inform you without letting it control you. Your feelings carry information, but they are not always instructions. Clarity knows the difference. It allows you to feel deeply without speaking recklessly. It gives emotion a place, but not the driver's seat. When you respond emotionally, your message often gets lost. The other person hears your tone before your truth. They react to your intensity instead of listening to your words. Clarity removes unnecessary noise. It makes your message easier to hear, even if it is not easy to accept. Clear words land where emotional ones collide. Clarity also protects you from regret. Words spoken in emotion cannot be retrieved. They linger in memory, sometimes longer than the original hurt. When you choose clarity, you choose words you can stand by later. You choose responses that align with your values, not just your feelings. This alignment builds self-trust. You begin to believe in your ability to handle difficult moments without losing yourself. Emotion often wants to win. Clarity wants to be understood. Winning creates opposition. Understanding creates possibility. Even when understanding does not arrive, clarity allows you to walk away knowing you expressed yourself honestly and cleanly. You do not have to replay the conversation in your mind, rewriting sentences, wishing you had said less or said it differently. Responding with clarity also requires self-awareness. You must know when you are too activated to speak clearly. This awareness is not weakness. It is wisdom. It allows you to say, "I need time before I respond," without guilt or explanation. Taking time is an act of respect for yourself and for the conversation. It prevents temporary emotions from making permanent damage. Clarity is rooted in intention. Before you respond, ask yourself what you want the outcome to be. Do you want understanding, resolution, distance, or simply to express a boundary? Emotion rarely asks this question. It reacts. Clarity responds with purpose. It chooses words that serve the outcome rather than sabotage it. There is also courage in clarity. Emotional reactions can hide behind volume and intensity. Clarity requires you to be direct. It requires honesty without aggression. Saying what you mean without dressing it in anger takes strength. It exposes your truth without armor. But that exposure is clean. It does not wound unnecessarily. It does not escalate. It stands firm without shouting. Clarity keeps you from over-explaining. Emotion often leads to justifying yourself repeatedly, hoping that more words will finally make someone understand. Clarity knows when enough has been said. It trusts that your truth does not need excessive defense. It allows silence to do some of the work. When you respond with clarity, you also learn to listen differently. You are less focused on preparing your defense and more open to hearing what is actually being said. This does not mean you agree. It means you are present. Presence changes the tone of any interaction. It slows things down. It creates space where emotion would otherwise collide. Clarity also helps you recognize when a conversation is no longer productive. Emotion will keep you engaged long after the conversation has turned toxic. Clarity knows when to disengage. It notices repetition, disrespect, and resistance. It chooses withdrawal without drama. It leaves without slamming doors. Responding with clarity strengthens your boundaries. Boundaries spoken emotionally often sound like threats or ultimatums. Boundaries spoken clearly sound like decisions. They are calm, firm, and non-negotiable. They do not need force because they are rooted in self-respect. Clarity does not ask for permission to protect your peace. Over time, clarity changes how others respond to you. People may not like it, but they respect it. Clear responses reduce confusion. They reduce manipulation. They reduce the likelihood of repeated harm. When people know you will respond thoughtfully rather than explosively, the dynamic shifts. Clarity also teaches patience. It reminds you that you do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to react to every provocation. Some things resolve themselves when you do not feed them with emotional energy. There will be moments when emotion slips out before clarity arrives. This does not undo your growth. It shows you where healing is still needed. Clarity is a practice, not a personality trait. Each time you choose it, even after a misstep, you strengthen it. Responding with clarity allows you to remain connected to yourself in moments of stress. You do not abandon your values for momentary relief. You do not trade long-term peace for short-term expression. You become someone who can face conflict without becoming chaotic. Clarity gives your words weight. They are not lost in excess emotion. They stand on their own. They reflect intention, self-awareness, and control. And even when clarity leads to difficult outcomes, even when it creates distance or ends conversations, it leaves you grounded, steady, and aligned, knowing that you spoke from a place of truth rather than impulse, from understanding rather than reaction, from consciousness rather than chaos, carrying forward a sense of inner order that continues to guide how you show up, how you speak, how you protect yourself, and how you move through situations that once would have pulled you into emotional storms without realizing that clarity was always available as a calmer, steadier way to respond. Staying calm protects your dignity in ways that loud reactions never can, because dignity lives in how you carry yourself when circumstances try to pull you apart. When someone provokes you, insults you, misunderstands you, or deliberately tries to shake your balance, your calm becomes a shield. It does not erase the hurt, but it prevents the hurt from turning into behavior you later regret. Dignity is not something you demand from others. It is something you maintain within yourself, especially when others forget how to treat you with respect. Calm does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything without allowing those feelings to spill out in ways that diminish you. Anger can be justified. Pain can be real. Disappointment can be heavy. But when these emotions control your response, they often drag your dignity into the moment and leave it exposed. Calm gathers your emotions, steadies them, and allows you to move with intention rather than impulse. There is a quiet authority in calmness. People may not always listen to shouting, but they notice composure. When you remain calm, you communicate that you are not easily shaken, that your sense of self is not fragile, that your worth does not depend on dominating the moment. Dignity thrives in that steadiness. It shows that you are anchored even when the situation is unstable. Many people believe dignity is about pride, about never backing down, about proving strength through confrontation. But true dignity is softer and stronger at the same time. It is knowing you do not need to raise your voice to raise your value. It is understanding that reacting harshly often gives control to the very person who tried to take it from you. Calm keeps that control where it belongs. When you stay calm, you protect your image not in the eyes of others, but in your own eyes. You can look back at the moment and recognize yourself. You can say that you did not abandon your principles under pressure. This internal respect is more lasting than any external approval. Dignity is built in these moments, quietly, decision by decision. Calm also prevents you from saying things that cannot be taken back. Words spoken in anger have a way of echoing long after the moment has passed. They linger in relationships, in reputations, in memory. Staying calm filters your words. It allows you to speak only what needs to be said, or sometimes to say nothing at all. Silence chosen calmly often preserves more dignity than speech driven by emotion. There will be moments when others try to bait you, when they push buttons they know exist, when they expect a reaction because reactions make them feel powerful. Calm denies them that satisfaction. It refuses to perform. It refuses to entertain disrespect. This refusal is not passive. It is deliberate. It is a statement that you are not available for chaos. Dignity is closely tied to self-control. Not control in the sense of repression, but control rooted in self-awareness. When you know yourself, when you recognize your triggers, you are less likely to be ruled by them. Calm grows out of this awareness. It allows you to notice the surge of emotion without acting on it immediately. That pause is where dignity lies. Staying calm also helps you avoid unnecessary escalation. Many conflicts grow not because of the original issue, but because of how it is handled. One sharp response invites another. One raised voice calls for a louder one. Calm breaks this pattern. It lowers the temperature of the moment. It gives space for resolution, or, when resolution is not possible, for disengagement without damage. Dignity does not require you to tolerate mistreatment. Calm is not submission. You can remain calm while setting firm boundaries. You can say no without anger. You can walk away without hostility. These actions protect your dignity because they show self-respect. They communicate that you value yourself enough to choose peace over pointless conflict. There is also a physical aspect to calm. The body remembers how you respond to stress. Constant emotional reactions keep the body in a state of tension. Calm allows release. It slows the breath, relaxes the muscles, clears the mind. Dignity is easier to maintain when your body is not in fight mode. Calm supports not only your character, but your health. In professional spaces, calm is often mistaken for weakness, but it is one of the strongest signals of confidence. A calm response under pressure shows competence, emotional intelligence, and reliability. It protects your reputation. It ensures that you are remembered for your composure rather than your outbursts. Dignity in these spaces is built through restraint. In personal relationships, staying calm prevents wounds from becoming permanent scars. Even when disagreements are intense, calm allows communication to remain respectful. It keeps love from turning into cruelty. It ensures that even difficult truths are delivered without unnecessary harm. Dignity here is mutual, preserved through mindful interaction. Calm also teaches you when to disengage. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every insult requires a reply. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Knowing when to step back is a form of wisdom. It saves you from draining exchanges that offer nothing but frustration. Walking away calmly often preserves more dignity than staying to prove a point. There will be moments when staying calm feels unfair, when you feel justified in expressing your anger loudly, when you feel that silence lets others get away with too much. Calm does not mean you never express anger. It means you choose the right time, the right words, the right setting. It means you express yourself without losing control. This choice protects your dignity because it keeps your message clear and your character intact. Over time, calm becomes part of your presence. People sense it before you speak. They adjust their behavior around it. Some will respect it. Some will be uncomfortable with it. Calm exposes insecurity in others because it refuses to mirror it. Dignity does not need to be defended when it is consistently lived. Staying calm also helps you forgive yourself. When you handle a situation with composure, even if the outcome is not ideal, you avoid the heavy weight of self-criticism that follows emotional reactions. You are less likely to replay the moment with regret. This inner peace is a quiet reward of dignity preserved. Calm allows you to respond instead of react. Reaction is automatic and often careless. Response is thoughtful and aligned with your values. Dignity thrives in response. It reflects intention. It shows that you are present and conscious in your choices, not driven by impulse. There is a deep sense of freedom in knowing that no one can force you to abandon your dignity. Others may test you, provoke you, or misunderstand you, but calm keeps you grounded. It reminds you that your behavior belongs to you. That ownership is powerful. Staying calm does not mean you always feel strong. Sometimes calm is trembling hands held still. Sometimes it is a voice that shakes but does not shout. Dignity is not about appearing unbothered. It is about choosing integrity even when you are affected. Calm makes space for vulnerability without letting it become destructive. As you practice calmness, you begin to trust yourself more. You know that you can handle difficult moments without losing control. This trust builds confidence. Confidence strengthens dignity. The cycle reinforces itself quietly, steadily. Calm also gives you perspective. It reminds you that most moments pass, that most conflicts fade, that your long-term peace matters more than short-term expression. This perspective keeps you from magnifying situations that do not deserve permanent space in your life. When you stay calm, you become an example, not through instruction but through presence. Others see that it is possible to remain respectful under pressure. This does not mean they will follow, but it means you have not compromised yourself. Dignity does not depend on imitation. Ultimately, staying calm protects your dignity because it keeps you aligned with who you want to be, not who the moment tries to make you. It preserves your self-respect when emotions run high. It allows you to walk away from situations without carrying shame or regret. It keeps your inner world orderly even when the outer world is chaotic. And with each calm choice, you strengthen the part of yourself that knows you are worthy of peace, capable of restraint, grounded in self-respect, and committed to carrying yourself with grace. No matter how challenging the circumstances become, holding on to your dignity as something sacred that does not need to be defended loudly, only lived quietly and consistently,